Hello, everyone out there in podcast world. Hope you're having a great day. You're listening to or watching the Service Business Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Tersh. Today's episode, we have Chelsea Martin here with us today from Noms Bake Shop. And like, who doesn't like cookies? Like, totally, that's no brainer. Whenever they reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you like to have Chelsea on the show?" I was like, duh. Like, let's talk about cookies. So I'm super excited to have you on the show. And we've been talking for a while already. We probably have already been talking a full episode, honestly, about just life in general. But a little bit about Chelsea. She's co-owner of Noms Bake Shop. It's the industry expert in corporate gifting that leaves a lasting impression with clients, partners, and prospects. In a noisy world of email marketing, forgettable corporate knickknacks, whatever. Chelsea's team at Noms Bake Shop provide a premium solution to corporate and personal gifting that delights clients and showcases your brand. I'm super excited to have Chelsea on the show and to share a little bit about what you have to offer and how we can get involved as a service business, because as service businesses, we have to stand out from the crowd. And so welcome to the show, Chelsea.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
And you're right. We talked so much that actually I was like, are we recording this? We just record this, but it's been good. It's nice to chat with somebody that like understands kind of what we're doing and also sees the value in gifting and ways to use it to kind of help strengthen relationships.
Yeah, totally. So tell us a little bit about Noms and how it got started and kind of the backstory of what you got going on there.
Sure. So yeah, Noms is a family-owned company, and it is my husband and I are co-owners along with his two sisters and his father. And his father kind of is the brainchild behind this and the reason behind this. But basically, how we got started was a series of events, all that kind of culminated at the same time. And Trevor and I had met and were dating in about 2014-ish, and he was getting to know my family, I was getting to know his, and he came on a family vacation with me, and his parents had brought or given him a basket of cookies and baked goods and things just to bring with us because we were going on like a camping kind of trip. And so it was super nice and a really sweet gesture. And all the baked goods inside were actually things that his father, Mike, had created. And Trevor was used to it. His sisters were used to it. Growing up, that had always kind of just been a side hobby. It wasn't his profession or anything. He was actually a computer programmer, but still, I think the computer programming probably lent itself to tinkering away with recipes and things like that, refining them. And so they brought all these baked goods with us, and Trevor was pretty used to them. But my parents and me, of course, and my siblings have the reaction that I think everyone does, which was that they were amazing. And I know that was my reaction. I absolutely have my mother's reaction like burned in my memory as far as how, she was super excited about them. And on my family side, they're business owners. They naturally just always are like, how do you make a business? How do you develop this? Like, that's where their brains are always. And I think, so they were saying, he should sell these. I think my husband had heard that a million times, because I think in any field, if somebody's good at painting, you should sell these. If somebody's good at making art, you should sell these. And so they hear that. I think his sisters, Allison and Andy, had also heard that just all the time. But the bar for them was a little bit like set in a different way. Their baseline was different because those were normal to them. So right. I don't think that they doubted that they were good. I just don't think that their brains were like, let's make this a company. And so they had heard that a lot. But I think over time, in the coming months, Trevor had convinced his dad and talked to his dad more and more about, maybe you should just sell them locally. Let's just do, it's something fun to get out and like meet with people. And his dad is super social. Yeah. So we started just very small in the home kitchen, Mike, Trevor's father, was just baking cookies, and they'd sell them at farmers markets and local call centers, just kind of like a once or twice a week style thing, nothing big. And in 2015, really, I think my husband and I, at different times, but around the same time, were at a place where we were looking for something more, I think, in a career. And because my husband is naturally entrepreneurial and he is really passionate about building businesses, whether that's his own or someone else's, he loves that idea of like coming in and scaling things, working on the process and figuring out how to really build. And so I think when he was able to devote time and attention, it went to Noms, and it went to how can we grow this? And so they eventually, along with Trevor's sister Andy, just really spearheaded it for a while. We started to grow into a second kitchen in the home, and then eventually it started to kind of outgrow that. And I sort of joined in with the marketing component, and we started to scale up a little bit and get into a commercial kitchen. And as we were doing all of that, I think we started to take a look at where we fit in the industry. Because if you say, like, I'm a cookie company,
yeah,
that is such, a busy world, and it's so oversaturated. I mean, there's
I could imagine
so many baked goods. Yeah, you can go into a supermarket and there's already a ton of not only their baked goods, but other brands in there. So, where do we fit? And at that time, my parents, who I'd mentioned obviously work in business, they were getting a lot of holiday gifts, and it was that season. And we'd go over to their house and there would be gift baskets just like lined up on the counter. And it wasn't because they didn't appreciate them. And it wasn't because they were just like, another gift basket or anything it was appreciated. But that was just the common gift for the holiday season. Because if you think about it in reverse and you're the business owner and you have to send out 50 or 100 gifts, you are busy at work in general. You just as a business owner, you're busy. So it's really hard for you to take on sending 100 gifts and making them personal and special to every person. And, like all of that is just a really daunting task. So you are sending a very nice gift basket, but on the receiving end, you can only get so many before you're like, okay, I'm tapped out of pretzels. Like and maybe somebody disagrees. Maybe somebody else has never tapped out of pretzels, but the freeze-dried salmon or the crackers, like at some point it's just a lot. So it either gets wasted or you kind of give it away. And I know that is not with bad intentions. And I know, it's just what it is. And so I think we kind of saw this opportunity for Noms to jump in and create a space for ourselves in that market or in that gifting industry where you can send something that is delicious, like cookies, that are going to be enjoyed. And they're going to be enjoyed by you or your family because they're cookies, but it's also going to arrive in a personalized gift box. And I think that is an extra step of like elevating your gift, making it super meaningful for the recipient. But then on the sender side, the really important, crucial factor is making it easy to send. And that's what we've really worked for, is how do we send this gift box that is received? The person says, wow, you took the time to etch my name into the lid. And you actually thought about me, like this was meant for me. This was not a mass upload of 80 gift baskets. This says Chelsea on it, like you spent time on this. But on the other side, as a sender, I can do that, and I can send it with the ease and simplicity that I could a gift basket, but it has that extra value. And so that's where we fit in, is how can we make this easy for the sender, but really memorable and meaningful for the recipient? And that's where Noms kind of lives now, is in that corporate gifting sphere, not just for the holidays, but really, the entire year.
Sweet. So with that being said, is there a way to also do or do a logo, like somebody's logo? And
yeah, absolutely. So like I have this just right here on hand. So this is one of our deluxe gift boxes, which is really cool because it's like a slide top. But it says Noms on it, but we don't have any boxes that say Noms. They're all blank. And so all of our lids are blank. If you wanted to come to me and you had a logo, either your logo or your recipients, depending on what you're trying to achieve,
Yeah.
We etch it in-house. We have laser etching machines that we do literally everything from the baking of the cookies to the packaging of the cookies to the customization and shipping out the door. We handle all of that, which is really great because it allows for flexibility, and it also allows for speed, which
Yeah.
is something that is important, because if I want to order a bunch of these for the holidays, or maybe I'm doing prospective gifting or something, and I want to order 100, usually you don't want to order that and say, okay, but I also want to send it out in 3 weeks. We all know the holidays are coming. So yeah,
Mhm.
you could do that extra lead time.
Yeah.
But the common denominator with a lot of people is they're busy, and
Yeah.
they're not thinking about it until it's the dead last minute.
Yep.
What can I get done? And so we can do all of this in-house. We have, the holidays might be a crazy time, but we have shipped these out the door customized, even 50 of them the next day. It's because of that hands-on in-house customization ability, we're
Mhm.
able to turn things around super fast. And we also have the flexibility of somebody reaching out and saying, I want my logo, here it is. Can you etch the recipient's name on it in the same font? Or can you add snowflakes around my logo because I want it to be holidays? And we have a designer on staff, so she can do all of that for us. We also have people that sometimes reach out and they want to add another surface to etch on. So maybe they want the lid to say Happy Holidays from Chelsea, and on the reverse side it says a logo, or so, so
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of nice because we do have that flexibility to work with the clients to try to achieve whatever they're envisioning, that they might not just have artwork for to upload
Yeah.
onto a website. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So with that being said, there's like, do you see an uptick in like people keeping it or getting feedback? Like, is there a reason that we should go that direction versus just getting online and seeing the same gift basket with cellophane wrapper around it and saying, "Oh, that's good," and click on that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think depending on your strategy, so we offer two gift boxes. One is our just like a classic white one, and this has a full color sleeve that fits over it, and
Mm.
that you can customize all four panels. You can, a lot of people that are trying to sell their company's services will often use that, because on the front it can have their logo, or at the top can have their logo, the front can have the recipient, the back can have like their core values or their big services, things like that. They have a little bit
Gotcha.
more room to kind of gently sell or showcase themselves. And that's more of like a prospective, I'm trying to get your attention. Let's meet for cookies over Zoom type of thing, and then we have that deluxe wooden box that I showed, and that is etched on the lid, and people really don't throw it away. I mean, I know that, I'm sure there are exceptions, but people have a hard time throwing it away. It's nice, it's sturdy, it can be a catch-all, it can be a display. We've actually had people send us pictures of, they've made not terrariums, but succulent gardens
Oh
out of
yeah.
them, because there's a use for it, they like it, and because of that, depending on how you customize it, your logo is staying around their office or their home or wherever, indefinitely. And that is something really valuable for people that I think are referral based, because they always have their gift there. It's easy to like do memory recall on who you used for whatever service or whatever thing. And it is an extra meaningful gift. So we've seen people use those for different reasons, but they stick around for sure. And it's something that I think a lot of people do attribute value to.
Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%. We were talking about beforehand a little bit about Giftology. John, what's his name? John Rulin. That's right. Yeah, Giftology. And the thing I love about Giftology is and I implemented it. So as soon as I read the book, and I told you before, I used the term "read" loosely. As soon as I listened to it on Audible, uh, we immediately put into process it's a process in our business that the service expert, when they're in the home, they are taking note of the items that are around the house. So like if they're let's say they're Atlanta Falcons fan, or they're Atlanta Braves fan, or
Mhm.
they really like GM car products or something like that. Like it's just notated in the client's notes. And then if we come across something, so we have a lot of UGA fans, University of Georgia fans here in our area. And I went to a conference, and Vince Dooley, which is like a legend guy from there, coach. He was, there were autographed books there from him or something like that. Yeah. I can try to remember. It was a couple of years ago. So, and they were like $20, and it was all going to a foundation. And so we like balled up like 50 books. And then when we have someone as a UGA fan, we would just like mail it to them after the fact. And just keeping that kind of open mind on what they liked. And I feel like that is super massive, but also if you can, the fact that you can put their logo on the stuff, that's key. Because that's one of the things John was kind of preaching about in the book, was that, make sure you're putting their logo on stuff like that. They'll keep it. They'll find more value in it if you put their logo on it. And I love the fact that you can do that. You have the ability to put their logo on it as well as ours, or in sake of ours. So that's really, that is an amazing fact there. And I'm super excited because we send anybody that replaces a system, we send them gifts currently. Part of the gifts are a masseuse. So a mobile masseuse goes out to the house and gives a massage to de-stress them during a stressful time. But then we also send other gifts, and we actually send birthday gifts to them for their air conditioning unit. So when their AC unit turns a year old, we'll send them balloons currently, but maybe we can start sending them some cookies. I think that's a really cool idea.
I love that. Well, and I think that is really important. So for us, of course, the holidays are a big time, but the other side of it is there is a whole world of gifting for companies that adds value and strengthens your relationships. That is not just the holidays. And like you said, that this kind of follow-up or thank you type of gift is really powerful. We do have a few clients that work in plumbing or things like that, and they get such positive feedback that they have reached out to us and said, we've had clients ask if we can send them more cookies. And I was like, well, tell them that they need to have something break, I guess. I don't know. But, it's always really nice to hear that, because the fact that they're now attributing that feeling and that response to that company. It's not that they're attributing it to Noms and saying, wow, Noms, they're saying those cookies were amazing and I got them from this company, and they love that. And I love what you said about the air conditioning birthday thing, because it is, some companies do send for your actual birthday, but it's fun to see the way companies use gifting in a different way. I've had architects and real estate agents they'll send the wooden box, and either for a closing gift or their house just got built, they actually will send, we do these really cool, like outline etched kind of designs of the home. And cool. Especially with architecture, they'll do like a blueprint on the outside. And so it's cool because it's like this tribute to their home that they just built, but it's also like this keepsake kind of box that has that extra special and personal meaning. And it isn't just the architect logo, it's their home. But they know who designed it. Like they know who gave that to them. And that's the thing, is I think with Giftology, we always struggle because we're like, oh, is he saying not to gift what we give? Or is he saying to gift what we give? Because we do gift things with logos on it. And let's all be honest. Like, I love myself a logoed pen, because usually those pens write the best. I don't know why they do, but
right?
They just do. But there's some things that you're just like, I don't know what to do with this. And I'm glad that you put your logo on the stress ball, but like, whatever, right. And so I understand that. I do. And I think we're kind of in this in-between area, because one, you have the power to gift that. One, cookies are amazing, but then two, you have the power to design the gift the way that you want. You don't have to put your logo really big, or your logo can be on the bottom, or it is as a part of the design, it can have their name. It doesn't need to just be this useless contraption that has a logo on it. And I think having a strategy behind which gift box am I picking? Am I picking this full color one because I am prospecting and it seems appropriate? I'm trying to get your attention and say, I'd love to meet with you, or I'm trying to say happy birthday, but I know you're not going to keep a box that says happy birthday etched on it. So like,
Yeah.
I think having a strategy behind which one I want, and if I want the keepsake one, how do I design this that does have meaning for the recipient, and they don't feel like this is kind of just a ploy to get your name out on a different version of a billboard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that is a really key part to any gifting strategy that any professional should keep in mind, because we've all been on the receiving end of it too.
Mm-hmm.
And so we know how we feel when we receive those things. So why do we keep going back to the same old, like, I cannot knock pens and I cannot knock post-it notes, because my husband has watched me just collect those
Right,
whenever
right.
someone sends them. But, there's other things that I think that you can, for the same cost, or maybe a more of a cost, but it's a higher value and it resonates with your clients, it becomes worth it to choose a gift a little bit different.
Yeah, we have our little pens, and they really do write so much
I
better.
don't know what it is, but I'm telling you, pens
And
with logos on it, I will take them all. So
they're so cheap, but they write so good. I don't know. I don't understand it, but yeah. So I remember 2000, I guess it was 2018 probably. My wife bought my wife a new BMW, and the BMW dealership, it's probably 6 weeks later, we got a box in the mail, and it was a local cookie company, Bird Cookie Company, and it was a tin, and I was like, oh, that's really cool, and it had it had Kreitz like information all in, like when you open up the tin, it was like all of their like the story behind Kreitz or whatever. But the front of it was like the Kreitz logo, the BMW dealership's logo. And I was like, that's cool. But then like the more I thought about it, I was like, I mean, it's really cool, but I'm not going to keep this tin because it's their logo, not that if they wouldn't, they don't have, that company doesn't have the ability to run just one-off tins, like tin covers. So, but if they would have had one with our company logo, I'd kept that one forever,
right.
Even if it had Kreitz story on the inside of it,
Right.
And I got to
Things
think,
with their name on it.
yeah. And it was so crazy because I mean, immediately the rush that I got was like, wow, this is really cool. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is like, they really just spent a little extra and sent a gift. I mean, it's a $6 tin, of cookies or whatever, $10 worth of cookies. But it was really the thought behind it that really made a big impact. But then the fact just that, and this was before I even read Giftology. And then I read Giftology and I was like, wow, like I thought back about that underlying kind of thought there that I had, and really realized how true it was. But I love the fact that you can do their stuff, and even if you wanted to flip it on the other side and put your logo on the other side, that's really an awesome
Yeah,
feature.
I think what's cool about that, and I love when people explore these kind of conversations with us, because I do think it's a gut reaction to put your logo on things. And so I'm
Yeah,
not knocking that at all either, if
no,
that's
no,
what you
absolutely
want
not.
to do. But I love when people want to explore the other options, because there are ways to integrate your logo, and you could even send it, for example, if you wanted to put their logo on the front, or whatever it is, their name, maybe it's a family name and the year or something, and you want to put that on the front, and you put your logo on the back, you can still send it with that one side. They can just choose to flip it, and at the same time, they're always going to have that. We've even had people write, because we can laser etch the full surface of that lid. We've even had people write a note, like they've etched an actual note on there. So if they wanted on the reverse to say their name and phone
That's
number
cool.
and the logo, like they can do that, So I think there are opportunities where people will value it more, because you're right, when it comes time, and you got to clean out the closet, like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it has to go. I mean, the one thing I have not been able to part with uh, is my car company sent me, it's Dodge, and they sent me a dodgeball. And so I was like, okay, that was fun. I like the way
Dodgeball,
they
that's
did that.
funny.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they got clever with their branding, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah, at some point when push comes to shove, like the thing that doesn't have your logo on it or whatever, you're gonna have to get rid of it, even if it is nice, And so
Yeah.
having that extra value of the personalization or meaning to them, like you said, whether that's they're into a certain university football team or something,
Yeah.
something like that, and having that extra that I'm paying attention to you, and this is what I want to send something that actually means something to you. Is it really goes the extra mile? I see this all throughout the year with service professionals who are sending gifts instead of just the holidays. And I honestly, the reactions that people give are so great that they keep coming back. And I think that in itself like speaks to the value of it.
I agree. I think that this conversation obviously is kind of preaching to the choir. I feel like we both agree on these things, and as people are listening to this, that sometimes I feel like I haven't had the conversation, but I kind of perceive that it could be possible. The conversation of what's the ROI on this? Like, how do we know if we're going to get our money back out of this? Like, or we just write it off as a marketing expense that towards branding, have you ever had that conversation or explored that conversation?
Yes, and it is tough because even we have that conversation even with ourselves,
Yeah.
for our own sake as a company. I think it's tough because when it comes to an established clientele and a relationship, I don't know if you can say, oh, this person didn't come back recently, because what's your timeline, right? Okay, is it an
Good point.
air conditioner? Did they come back in 5 years? Was it because of the cookie? Was it because of the, or you have a repeat customer, were they always going to come back to me? Or we developed this relationship? We obviously haven't done anything wrong that they're gone,
Yeah. Yeah.
so we're
Yeah.
doing the right things. So do we attribute that to an ROI from the investment in this? And that is challenging. I think with some marketing, it is really tough to identify it unless they called you and said, I'm going with you because like I said in that example, they're like, I'm going with you again because I love those cookies and you guys are amazing. It's hard to know. I think the side that we start to see more ROI or we start to see more measurable results are in the prospecting side. And that is where people
Good
are saying,
point.
I have 30 people that I want a meeting with. I sent these cookies to 30 of them, and 15 of them actually responded to my email or I got a meeting. And then of those 15, 5 of them signed a year-long contract or something like that. Then it's like, okay, I know these cookies helped me get a call back
Yeah.
from at least 50%, so things like that. So I think it's easier to measure in those kind of ways because that's not already an established thing. That's did they bite? Did they call me back? Did they not? Whereas this is more of just like a reinforcement of trying to keep a really great relationship with your clientele and add that extra, component rather than just being like, yep, we're here when you need us, so I think it is tough, and I agree. We've faced those challenges even with ourselves with prospecting, and because even with our prospecting, we get people to respond because they're talking directly to us, and they said, "Yeah, you can send me cookies." So even with that, we're like, I don't know, So we face those challenges too, especially when it comes to marketing.
Yeah.
It's almost like not the exact same, but it's almost like a billboard, right? Like
Yeah.
unless
Totally.
you're like, well, I don't know if this person went to my website because they saw a billboard or a t-shirt or somebody told. I have no idea if the
Yeah.
billboard's effective or not, because you
Yeah.
just know that people are on your site. So those are just challenging things with marketing, I think, and measurement.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like unless you put a call tracking number on the box, and they happen to call that number, then you could attribute it to that. But yeah, I feel like it's definitely a branding tool. And like you said, billboards are the same way because they may see your billboard and then go to your website or Google you, and then Google
Right.
gets the credit for what the
Right.
website or for what the billboard actually
Yeah, because
did.
you're driving. Like, how would you're like, I'm not going to remember promo code
Yeah.
17 Foxtrot, whatever. You're like,
Yeah,
I'm going to Google it, and then Google is showing that they're getting all of this traffic or whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
so it's tough sometimes.
I agree. Cool. Chelsea, thank you so much for spending, well, what's basically been an hour now with us and sharing all this stuff. Again, where can people go to find out about more about you and get connected with you?
Sure. So our website is getnoms.com. So GETNOMS.com. And on there, you can look at our cookie flavors, our assortments, and you can actually even, if you already have artwork or your logo, you can even upload it right there onto the website and create your box and ship out. If you have some extra bells and whistles that maybe you want to add as far as the design, or you want us to maybe create something, on there, you can just fill out a contact us form and we're always available. And then, of course, we're on Facebook and Instagram. So you can just search Noms Bake Shop on Facebook or at Get Noms on Instagram.
So how about this last question? Because I know you've probably had this, and this isn't something that we've even had a conversation about. So this is going to straight out of left field, just blindside you here. But with how do you deal with peanut allergies?
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah. So we definitely, that is a tough one. So all of our cookies are individually wrapped. So we aren't the type that's another thing, a whole other thing we could get into about, this being a unique market where you need to really trust the people that are doing the gifts, because you're not on the receiving end. So you don't know how they arrive. And we've seen them arrive rough. Not from us, but I mean, like,
right.
If cookies get thrown into a bag, into a tin, and the vibration,
crumble
across
all
the
the
country,
pieces.
yeah, it's a box of crumbs or a tin of crumbs. So all of our cookies are baked in-house and packaged in-house, individually wrapped. Our staff, I'm telling you, when we get inspected, we are constantly complimented on like how pristine the place is. And we clean all of our equipment between batches. However, we are creating all of those cookies in the same facility. So we list everything's on the back of every package, the nutrition facts, the ingredients, the allergens. And so we do our best. We clean everything between. But if you have like some crazy peanut allergy, I mean, I can't recommend it. I think you just have to look at the package and talk to your doctor, do your best judgment. But I mean, we definitely don't, as much as we'd love to like be in schools and things like that, we would never want to be responsible for anything regarding allergens. So we do list them on the outside, and then I think leave it up to the consumer to decide from there.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, that's honestly, as business owners, we're in the business of risk management. And that for you, I think that's very smart to not try and target the schools, because try as much as you may, there's a chance that something could happen and it could cross contaminate into a batch. And I think that's something that people need to pay attention to also whenever you're doing giftology and you're gifting, cookies to people. If you go into a house and there's someone there that's like extreme peanut allergy, like it's just red flags everywhere, you just make that note in the system so that something doesn't accidentally get sent there, later on, and so that's just part of the due diligence as being a business owner, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's tough because especially like I said, with schools, it's like children are young enough that they don't have those experiences. If I'm, a 40-year-old adult and I know I have a peanut allergy, chances are I'm checking the back of every package, but a child doesn't have that same wherewithal necessarily to do those things. And so you can try as hard as you can. We've definitely had customers say, do not send any peanut butter in this batch. And, we always warn them and say, we're not sending any peanut butter. We're sending only the flavors that don't have peanuts, but like, there's still cookies, there's still baked goods. I don't know if that's something you want to alert them. It's, all you can do is give them as much information and then hope that they make the best decision.
Cool deal. So again, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing everything. And of course, I love talking about cookies. And so if anybody that's listening to or watching this, don't forget to go to getnoms.com, GETNOMS.com. And I was just scoping out the website earlier, and it's some really cool stuff on there. And I'm excited to dive in deeper and learn some more. So with that being said, thank you again for watching or listening to the Service Business Mastery podcast. And it's a podcast focused on service business owners, managers, and technicians who are considering becoming business owners. My goal with this podcast is to help answer some unasked questions. And I hope today's episode did that in one way or the other. It helped answer a question that you may not have even known to ask. And maybe it was a peanut allergy question. I don't know. So, but with that being said, thank you again. And I hope you have a wonderful week.
Thank you.